Hello and welcome back to the Lift Your Life podcast, and we are joined by another very special guest today. This is a super exciting one.
Yeah.
So we are joined by Leanne, and we have already done a podcast together, haven't we?
We have.
But this was about just your personal fitness journey, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but bringing it into the context of the next step in your journey, which is to being a coach. Which is super exciting, right?
It's so exciting. I'm still on cloud nine about it. It's mad,
but here we are.
Yeah.
So let's just go right back to the start then and talk about like this entire journey of how you've progressed from ever starting fitness, because it's been a part of your life quite a while. You know, I know you've got PT qualifications, and we can talk about all like the PT side of things that you've done before.
Yeah.
But when was the first time that fitness was ever a part of your life? Fitness, dieting, can you remember that?
Oh my gosh. So fitness for me came a lot later than kind of any kind of diet and stuff. I didn't really get into fitness. Probably it was more like, I think I'd gone to the gym a few times with friends as like in my late teens, just because we were like something to do, but I don't think we actually did anything other than kind of mess about. And it wasn't probably until maybe 2015 I decided I wanted to start going to the gym. But back then I really struggled with anxiety and things, and it was very much like I took my mum, bless her, to fitness classes, and I tried going to the gym and I just couldn't. The anxiety. I distinctly remember one day going into a gym thinking like I can do it, and I ended up having a full-blown panic attack, and I was hysterically crying in the car park and had to be collected by my mum. So that was not a fail per se, but obviously didn't get off to the best start. And then I think I kept going to classes with my mum, and then was confident enough to kind of go by myself.
Amazing.
And then I think obviously the more I went, the more confident I got with it. And it was, I'm trying to think back, like it feels like so long ago now. I would have been doing that, and I think I started kind of dabbling in the gym a little bit, and then it was that good old COVID that kind of hit. And I think at that point I was very regular in classes, a little bit in the gym, and I kind of thought, I've got all this time on my hands, what can I do? And I thought, well, I'll get my PT qualification, more so to kind of like learn a little bit about things, and just so that when I was ready to go back to the gym, I knew what I was going to be doing rather than kind of going in a bit more aimlessly. So yes, I got my PT qualifications during lockdown, and then when COVID was all finished, started working in a gym, which I kind of fell into, but that was pretty much it. Like, amazing. As far as the fitness side of it goes,
Fab. You said dieting came first, right?
Dieting for me, yeah. So I'm not even going to say dieting. It was just, I think food for me and body image has always been like a massive issue ever since I was like a kid and like early teenager. And it was actually when I left university was when it got really bad. And that's when I discovered our old friend, my fitness pal, and your 12,000 calories a day.
That it tells everyone to eat.
Yeah, and we ended up with eating disorders. So I went into a little bit onto the anorexic side of it, and then from there ended up bulimic, and then kind of came out of that, but always struggled with food in different ways. It was bizarre, and I think even from the point of being discharged from like services and stuff, it was probably back when I was going to the gym and stuff, I was still very much of the bulimic tendencies, in that I would go to like 5 spin classes a week as a way to kind of work off any food. And I think looking back, like in hindsight, I was definitely kind of punishing my body like through obscene amounts of cardio, but at the time I didn't acknowledge it for what it was. I just thought like, oh, I'm super fit, I go to all these classes, like, but it wasn't. It obviously wasn't. It wasn't healthy. So
how did you break free from that? What do you think was like the turning point that got you in a place where you felt more in control of it than in control of you?
I think, to be honest, I think being open about it, and I think even to this day there's still a lot of people in my life that don't know that I even had an eating disorder. I was always so secretive about things, and I think that's why I'm quite open about it now. But I think, I was very open with my mum. That helped, and we kind of put measures in place that would make things like easier to control. But it wasn't obviously an easy process at all.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is a strange one, but here you are.
Yeah, here I am. So it's been a rocky journey, but
Yeah. I mean, with eating disorders, they're very sort of multi-dimensional, and the research behind them is, you know, I think a lot of people think that it is a multitude of factors, and I agree. I don't think it is like just genetic or just like social. I think it is a multitude of things. But what do you feel for you was kind of like a catalyst for it? Like what triggers led to that?
So for me, I was always aware of body image, and I think if I think back to it, when I was in first school, I used to get picked on by this girl. So I've got a mole on my chin that I've had since I was little. And I remember being in first school, and so I could only have been like 7 or 8 max. And she was just this girl that picked on me, and she used to say that this mole was a fat spot. And I only had this because I was fat. And I think that that's like something that has like always stuck with me. And I think in the back of my mind, it was probably from way back then, I had this thing like, oh, I'm fat. I don't even think I knew what it was back then, but like, and then I think as I went into school and stuff, I've like always been tall. And I think, you know, when people say like, you're so big compared to your friends, and like you associate like the word big with like, not necessarily being tall, instead of saying, you know, I'm tall in comparison. So I always felt like the bigger person, but in reality I was just tall. It wasn't. Yeah. And I think even that probably had some sort of an impact on me, because I was constantly wanting to like shrink myself down because I had like shorter friends. And yeah, so I think those little things were always kind of there, and I was always conscious. Like as a teenager, I always hated my thighs. Like it was that kind of, got big thighs, don't like that. And then I think for me, then it really kind of spiraled into something more like extreme. It was when I moved home from university. I think I kind of lost all control over like anything that was going on in my life. I was suddenly like back home. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't like have a job initially. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Like, and I think the only thing I could control was food. And so when I'm being told like, if you eat 12,000 calories a day, you're going to lose weight. I'm like, cool, let's do that. And then I used to see
definitely won't lose weight on 12,000 calories, just saying.
No, but then I would.
You meant 1,200.
Oh yes, 1,200.
12,000 calories a day losing weight. That sounds pretty ideal.
That would be pretty impressive. No, 1,200 calories. But then I'd see it as a challenge, and if I could get under 1,200 calories, I'd feel really smug. Like, oh, you say 1,200, and I'm like, I can do less.
Yeah.
And it used to be, I got to a point when I would be like, I'd panic if something didn't have a barcode and I couldn't scan it. If we had to go somewhere and I didn't know what I was going to have, like I wouldn't go and eat out, and I'd like, I know I said this to you last time, like I would like hoard food under my bed, which was like, looking back, I'm like, I don't know why I did that. It was like some sort of control thing that like it was there, like I wasn't going to eat it, but like I knew it was there, and I don't know why, like there was masses of the stuff as well, like it was bizarre. And then it kind of, I ended up more kind of going into depression and things like that, and I got put on meds for that. And I think that kind of helped, but also it didn't, because I hate that the first thing that doctors do is just stick you on tablets and like off you trot, like crack on type thing. Yeah. So there was that, and then it got to a point when like I was engaging in some other kind of not great behaviours that you do when you're feeling very low. And I think that point my mum found out, and we kind of took it from there. So, but I think that then led to kind of the binge eating episodes where I was like, okay, well, I'm not counting calories, I'm just going to eat everything instead. So we kind of like went back over to that side of things, and yeah, it's been very like up and down.
It is. The recovery from like disordered eating isn't like I think any sort of journey is never this, is it? It's going to be up and down. And I think with food relationships and disordered eating, it's so hard. And the reason that it is so hard is because it's a heavy component of our life.
Yeah.
Like it's not like something you can avoid, or we eat every day. We eat socially. It's such a big thing. And I think that's why it is so challenging, because it's not like you can just, you know, alcohol, if you really wanted to, you could cut alcohol out of your life forever and not change anything. Drugs, you know, you can cut those out, but you can't cut out food. You can have certain less of certain types, but it's always there.
Yeah.
I think that's why it does prove such a challenge. So, I mean, you know, coming from that background myself, I do know how like rocky a road it is. But so to anyone who can get out of that dark hole into a place where it is manageable, and you know, I believe that they don't ever go away. Like that voice is there, but you're in control of it rather than it's controlling you now.
100%. Like even at this point, obviously, I'm like, you know, I'm qualified. I work in a fitness environment. Like, you know, that is a massive part of my life and stuff. But I still do have days when I will freak out about food, or if it's like, we're going to go and eat out at this place that I've never been to before, I've never seen the menu, that is that little voice in the back of your mind that's like, oh my God, like, you know, what you're going to eat, like, what's going to be in it? Like, but I'm more equipped, obviously, these days with the tools to kind of handle it.
Yeah. The difference is now you don't freak out. It's like that voice makes itself known, but you're now in a position to go, well, actually I can rationalise and logic, you know, rationalise it now and go, well, it's the end of the day, whether I have some sort of chicken or food at home or out, it doesn't matter. And you can have that small like, but actually it goes. Whereas before that would, I guess that would cascade, like it would just like blow up in the past. Yeah,
it would be a massive issue. So, and it would be even things like, even up until a few years ago, I didn't want to have kind of like junk food in the house, because the minute I had some junk food, I'm like, well, I might as well just have all of it now. Like, and you're already getting fat, so you might as well get fatter, even though, you know, I wasn't. But that was like the voice in my head. And it is very much, like you say, I don't think it goes away, and I don't think it ever is going to go away. But I do know how to kind of, it's just that little voice occasionally, and I know how to kind of like...
You can literally tell it to go do one, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Not today, not tomorrow, not never.
Yeah.
Go away, you're not wanted, sort of thing. Okay, so lockdown hit, you'd done your PT qualification, and then you decided to go and get a job in the gym. What was that job doing? Reception, classes, everything?
No, so I joined a gym. I was obviously feeling a lot better. Like, you know, they say lockdown was awful time. For me, I thrived. Like, I enjoyed being by myself. I was able to really work on myself as well. I had no other commitments. So obviously got my qualifications and stuff. And I thought there was this little gym had opened up in town, and it wasn't a big gym. Well, it isn't a big gym. And so, you know, less intimidating, that kind of thing. I thought, right, I'm going to go. Like, I'm bloody qualified now. I've done all of this. I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, I'd done the whole home workouts non-stop, all of that jazz. I bought myself a barbell and a little squat rack and everything. So I'd started training at this gym. And it was very much, I was chatting to one of the girls that worked there, and she found out I was qualified. And then the other girl that owns the place was kind of like, well, do you fancy doing some classes? And I was like, well, it's not really something I'd ever thought of doing, but like, okay. Like, I've never, you know, actually done it. I've gone to classes for years, but I've never done it myself. And then next thing you know, I was doing like 9-10 classes a week. Wow. And still doing them to this day, like still enjoy them. So... But yeah, it's weird because like, to start off with, I had no confidence. I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, can't believe someone's given me this responsibility. Like, this is mad, but it's good fun. Like, yeah.
I remember my first gym class, I was like, I know what I'm doing, but I also don't.
Yeah.
It's like a really weird feeling.
And you just feel so conscious being like stood there telling people what to do. Whereas now I just go in, the music's on, I'm screaming at them. It's great fun.
Yeah, it's like, definitely don't have problems. Like, I just love going into a room and shouting at people for an hour. Fun. Definitely don't have issues. But what's your favourite class to teach?
Oh, it's difficult. There's a couple of good ones. I love boxercise, so I teach boxercise, and it's just a room full of ladies, and like, ladies obviously have a lot of issues, and I feel like they get them out like in boxercise. It can be wild sometimes, like it's insane.
Laura, I think we need a trip to this.
Yeah.
Team day out to boxercise. Yeah, I'm game. That sounds fun. I never did boxercise. I did like circuits, LBT. They tried to get me to do spinning. I was like, yeah, no, never in a million years.
See, I love a spin class. I don't teach spin classes, but I do love a good spin class.
Nah, never. You'd have to pay me I'd do it for charity or something, but that's the only time you'd ever catch me spinning. So that was just after was that the first, second, third lockdown?
Yeah, it would have been after the second.
It
all like blends into one, doesn't it?
Well, the first one was that big one. Second one was like a month, and the third one was like January to April.
Yeah, so 21 is when I started teaching. 2021, so it must have been after the third one. Then,
okay.
Yeah.
And then you joined me, didn't you? 2022.
Yeah, just last August.
So what were you doing sort of in that time on yourself? Then were you just kind of just like maintaining, building, dieting?
Yeah, literally just maintaining. I think at that point I was like kind of relatively new in the gym. And I was obviously just doing programs for myself. I think I went through a phase of I was using a couple of apps at one point with their programs, which are never that great. And then I was just making my own little programs, 8 weeks at a time, just kind of wasn't like counting what I eat or anything like that. So I would think my weight was probably very stable, and so I wasn't making many kind of.
But did you feel like you needed that at that point from the history? You'd had to just
I think so. Yeah, to just be in there like exercising, because like even from way back when I started my classes, like post-eating disorders, for me, after the initial anxiety and stuff of getting into the classes, the exercise was great for my mental health, and that's why I kept going.
Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for the endorphins, like I just love it. And so yeah, I think initially when I was straight in the gym and just kind of learning what to do and stuff, it was very much like I'm just exercising for my mental health. I'm not too bothered about kind of building muscle. I'm not like, I was just enjoying myself.
Yeah, and I think not enough people do that. I think everyone thinks you always need to have a goal, like you need to be building muscle or losing body fat. It's like, well, actually you can just move your body.
Just go and exercise,
Like, I think because the word maintaining, it doesn't sound very sexy, does it? It's like just staying where you are. But I think it's a brilliant thing to do, to be able to just, you don't have to push yourself in any way, shape or form, and just enjoy it and be present.
I think in that time, obviously, my body did change.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I got stronger and things. But yeah, there was no set goal in mind.
You don't always need it. Like, just being able to put yourself first is enough.
Yeah.
From time to time. But then I'm guessing you got to a point where that wasn't enough, because you obviously messaged me. So what was the driver of that in that moment? What was making you think, actually, do you know what? Like, you knew pretty much what you were doing. You were qualified, helping other people. But why did you feel like you wanted something else to then take you to that next level?
I think I just felt a bit lost. I think, and I was getting bored in the gym, I think, because I didn't really have any direction. I felt a little bit lost. Like, I was just a bit like, well, now what? Like, and I'd followed like various coaches and stuff on Instagram, and I'd kind of thought about it, and I'm like, and you'd put something up, and it was one of the ones when you like just reply with this word if you're interested, or maybe I was on your mailing list or something, I can't remember. So I just replied like whatever that one word was, and then you contacted me and stuff, and I was like, yeah, okay, like why not? I think it was pretty much like I just needed a change. Like I was stuck in a routine. Like I was teaching my classes and I was going and I was training regularly, but I'd kind of lost the passion for it. It was very much going through the motions for the sake of it, because I knew that exercising was good for my mental health type thing. Yeah. But it had gotten to the point when I was like not really sure. Like, I don't know, I was just kind of stuck in a rut. There was like, I'd lost my passion. I think I was with that, like looking back now, I think I was heading kind of down into a bit more of a darker period again. Okay. So I think I needed something to kind of like focus on and kind of pull me out of that. And then that's when I found you. Yes.
And I actually remember that initial call we had like last August, about a year ago. And I'm pretty sure you said to me something like, I just want to do this for a few months to get back on my feet, or something like that.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I think like, that's what it was.
Like you literally like in dead set that like I just
a couple of months.
I just want a couple of months just to get back on my feet. And that's kind of like what I initially saw it as. Like, okay, I've got this person come in, she's already qualified, she's just in a bit of a funk right now, so she just needs a bit of a spark, and that's literally
that was it. That was the term we'd used, wasn't it? I need to find that spark for training again. Yeah.
And so mentally that's what I thought as well. Like I just thought, okay, like brilliant. Now when people come to me, I always have sort of like I create this like mental picture of like how long they're going to probably be working with us to actually get to where they want to be. And I thought, well, this is actually really nice here, because she's not in a spot where she's probably going to really need, you know, to get to where she wants to be. It is going to be like a year-long journey or whatever. Like, so I did mentally sort of think, oh, she'll be in a few months, then she'll go. Yeah. But then
stuck with us.
Yeah, she's still here. So what kind of changed then? Like, mentally, because like you said, you probably bought into us thinking, right, it's only going to be, you know, a few months that I'll be here. But what made you stay around? What sort of changed along that journey?
I think it was literally that you, like, so it sounds so cheesy, but you like gave me back that like love for training. Like it just sparked something in me. Like, and it wasn't just the training, because obviously you put together my program, which was something I was kind of like lacking in, was like a decent training program. But it was very much the mindset stuff as well. Like, you really helped me. Like, there was a couple of times that I messaged you about like body image issues and things like that, and you like really sat me down, gave my head a wobble and stuff. And I think had I not had you there at the time, like I would have, like I say, I probably would have had like another like dark episode, or like I'd have spiraled down some sort of hole. So it was just having somebody there to kind of like tell you what's what when you're feeling a little bit rubbish. So for me, it was massively the mindset stuff, and then obviously the confidence gains that came with that, thinking like, actually I can deal with this situation. Like, it doesn't have to be terrible. Like, I don't have to be miserable about it or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've done a lot. Obviously, initially it was just to get the spark back for training, but we've actually done quite a lot since then. So we did first little mini building phase, didn't you?
We did, yeah, which was...
It was a challenge, wasn't it?
That was such a challenge.
And because the initial obviously apprehensions were like, can I eat more without it going one way? Will I be able to deal with these body changes? And you did really good, didn't you? So
I did.
What like benefits do you think you actually had since actually pushing yourself to go through that phase? Obviously, besides from the fact you built muscle, which is the inevitable, but from like your mentality with yourself and food, like what benefits has having that time had for you?
I think for me it really enforced that you don't have to focus on the numbers. So I was always very much like obsessed with how much you weigh, and then obviously the numbers like eating a certain amount of calories and stuff. And so I think when we pushed past that and I realised like I was eating more and I wasn't putting on all this weight, like if anything I lost a bit of weight when we first started bulking and stuff. And that like even when the weight did go up, it was like, yeah, but like look at your pictures. So I was like comparing the pictures and I'm like, I look so much stronger and I look like leaner and everything's like so much smoother. Like, yeah, my weight's gone up, but my waist's gone in and like my legs were coming out, and it was just getting over that like thing that like the numbers at the end of the day are nothing. Like they don't mean anything, whether it's the number of calories that you're eating or the number that's on the scale. Like it's nothing in the grand scheme of it.
No. And we like implemented a lot more like relaxation, and we actually had times where we were like, well, I don't want you to track, I want you to have meals out.
Yeah,
like going out with your mum a lot, and so it was like, right, we'll just go and enjoy those foods. And again, we saw that nothing changed, did it? You could still go out and not overeat or like everything you could have in complete moderation. So you learnt a lot about yourself in that, which was amazing. And then we discussed doing another photo shoot this year, and you were on board, which was amazing.
I think that was like last December we decided that, which is crazy.
Yeah, so back into that last year, beginning of this year, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then we started dieting, was it March time this year?
It was, I think Easter weekend was when we officially started. I had my Easter weekend, I ate my chocolate.
Yeah. And again, that came with its own struggles again, didn't it? Because it was like, right, well, that's another side of you that, you know, we don't want to go back into.
Yeah.
And we were hyper aware of that when doing it, but
definitely.
Again, I think you've learned a lot about yourself in this process as well.
Oh, 100%. So, like, I think throughout the whole thing, I've just realised that I'm way more capable than I give myself credit for. 100%. Like, you give me something and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do that. Like, this is going to happen. And I'm like, I'm very much like a bit of a pessimist in that sense. But then, like, looking back, I'm like, well, actually, like, that was fine. Like, I'm so capable. Like, I'm so much, like, stronger mentally than I think I am. Like, I don't think I give myself enough credit.
Yeah, and what I really noticed over the journey was, like, what started off as, like, initial apprehensions turned into actually you turning into someone who was like, I can take this on head on. So, like, right at the start, I remember the worries of being like, oh, like, I'm worried about how low my calories are going to get, because we started really high, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like 2.2 or something, 2.3
quite
off-con meals.
At one point.
And then I remember those initial chats were like, oh my God, I don't know if I can hack my calories, get below this number and stuff.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, like, I'd be giving her challenges to, you know, to bring out her best. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And yeah, I'm actually going to join this gym. So I'm going to make it like easy for me. And yeah, I can do this. And we were talking like, oh, I can change my routine so I can get into bed. And then even at one
point I was like, what can I do to make it like more? Like, can I do
more?
Yeah,
and it wasn't coming from an obsessive place of like, I need to get smaller. Because I would pick up on that, having that history myself. Like, I know when things are disordered, like, no, we'll stop there. I could see it was coming from a place of this person now is ready to challenge herself. And she feels like she is capable to do whatever she sets her mind to, which is why we do those shoot preps. It isn't about bodybuilding who's the most shredded lean. It is you going on that journey to be the best version of you and challenging yourself. And that was the shift I saw, which was incredible. And I think that was a bit of a turning point for me when I had, again, earlier this year, we had growth. And I was like, well, what's the next chapter for me? Because I'm very much I'm proud but never satisfied.
Yeah.
Like with my business now and how it's grown, I'm like, yep, this is great. What more can I do? How can I continue to build this? And again, I'm now at a point where I don't want more clients. Like, this number for me is the ceiling.
Yeah.
If anything, I actually want to naturally let it come down a little bit. Laura's starting to get to a point where she's getting pretty full now. And so I was thinking about, well, if Coach 3 is the next step for me, because I do want a team. That is my long-term vision. I want a big team of women helping other women. I was like, well, who's the right person? I figured from working with Laura that having someone being in the business who understands the company values, understands the processes, who I already know has worked a dream. And I wanted that. But I was like, I don't know who. And I had a few ideas. I was like, I'm not sure. And you were like then on my radar because obviously I knew you were doing all your stuff for the gym and how passionate you were about fitness, how much you've come on in your own personal journey, the experiences you've had from different, pardon the pun, side of the scale, which again is what me and Laura both had. Because I don't think I could work with someone who's just done fat loss or just done like a building eating disorder, whatever it is, because we've both come from different elements. You understand everything, and I know that will cross transfer into the people you help. And so I think you were then on my radar, like with how much you changed and grew on the shoot prep. And it was that day you messaged me.
I know, that was a wild day.
So I was at home. If you haven't seen or don't see me on that Instagram, I have like a big knockoff neon sign on my wall that my dad was putting up for me. And you messaged me, didn't you? Basically saying that you've been given an opportunity to do a bit of online coaching.
Yeah. So I'd seen something pop up, someone asking for like a little assistant online coach, and I was like, okay, like I'm loving being coached. Like maybe this is a good way to kind of test the waters, see if it's something that like I kind of fancy doing in the future. Like it'll give me like a bit of an insight onto how it all works and that kind of thing. So I went through a little interview process and stuff, and then I got offered it, which was like cool.
Yeah, amazing.
So I thought I'd message you just for like open honesty. Like I didn't want there to be any kind of conflict of interest or anything like that. So I was just like, just to let you know, like, this is happening. Like, is that all right? And you were like, oh, mate, I'm not going to lie. Well, actually, you were like...
I know, first I was like, oh my God, yes, amazing.
You. Yeah, you were like, fully support you. This is amazing. Like, I'll hype you up for anything. And like, there were the nicest messages. And I was like, oh, bless, how lovely is that? And then I'd gone out with my mum for coffee. We do it every Friday. We go out for a coffee and a catch-up. And you'd messaged me again, being like, oh mate, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty gutted, like kind of wanted you like for my team, but I'm just not quite ready yet. And then we had like a little bit of back and forth, and you were basically like, yeah, if we can wait a couple of months, like we can make this happen. And I remember sitting with my mum, and so I was telling her everything that was going on, and she was like, Leanne, the minute you opened your mouth, your decision was made. Like, she was like, you knew 100% where like you were. So she knew that like it was always going to be your coaching team. Like,
yeah, cause I remember the conversation I had with my dad, because like he texted me and he was there putting up a sign, and I was like, oh, this is amazing for a dad, but I kind of really wanted her in the future. He went, well, what are you doing then? I went, well, what do you mean? He went, well, tell her that. I was like, oh yeah, I could do. I think for me, I just felt guilty because it's like, you had this amazing opportunity come up, and I only want the best for every single person I work with in their personal lives as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I feel really bad because she's got this opportunity, but we don't want to get into the ins and outs, but I think what they were offering you as well, I thought that was very, you were being undervalued for what you could deliver and do. So I was just like, please, I hope you can wait out a few more months, because I just can't quite do it yet, because there was a few sort of internal things we were working on. So I was like, I really need to put the focus on to like, I think it was when you were transitioning, Laura's over there, by the way.
Yeah.
So I was really focusing on getting her full time. I was like, so I really need to focus on that. But yeah, and then obviously when you said, yeah, I can wait, I was like, yes.
Because it gave me a chance to kind of just focus on my shoot, get that all out of the way.
Yes.
Just really give that my all.
Yeah.
And then knowing that this was coming, I think it just kind of like lit this fire in me even more. I was even more motivated. I was like, right, like this is going to happen. So like, let's do it.
Amazing. And sort of some questions I've asked Laura. What do you feel like with your experiences that you have, because obviously you are now in early days of coaching, and we can definitely have a catch up maybe like a year down the line once you've had the full experience of working with people. But right now with, you starting to taking people on, what do you feel is going to allow you to be a brilliant coach based off what you've gone through yourself?
I think that I have experienced it all. And a bit like similar to what Laura said, is I can relate to like everybody. I've been on one side of it when I've been like, starving myself and like hating myself, like lowest of low, like confidence, body image, the works. Like I was punishing my body in ways that like nobody should ever punish their body. And then I've also been like where like, I want to work out, but my anxieties were too much. I was having panic attacks in the gym. I didn't know where to start. I was like terrified. And then I've kind of come full circle, and now I'm in there training. Like, I've just joined this new gym, which is like, it's freaking huge compared to what I'm used to. And I never would have done that. And I'm in there, like, you know, like in with these big muscular men, just doing my own thing. Like, whereas if you'd asked me to do that 5 years ago, I would have cried. Like, I wouldn't have set foot in the place. So I've kind of like gone from like the lowest of the lows all the way back up again, and like done it all full circle and kind of experienced everything. So
yeah. And what are you most excited about?
I'm just excited to help other people. Like, we obviously did the photo shoot not so long ago, and that was like amazing. And the way that I came out feeling from that, like, I want to give that to other people. Like, if I can make other people feel as good as I felt in the past, like, not even from the shoot, just in the past few months in general, from my journey, like, with you as a coach, if I can do that to other people, like 4 other women, like, that would be amazing. Like,
it will be amazing.
It will be amazing.
It will be amazing. And I'm very excited for the journey.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be a fun year.
It is going to be a very fun year. I'm very
now the
excited.
Powerpuff Girls, we are the dream team.
I know.
Amazing. Well, that's today's episode wrapped up. Socials wise, this is going to be funny because we're actually pre-recording this prior to you actually joining. So this is like recorded in the past. So I was going to ask people for their handles, but I don't think, unless you already know what your new handle is going to be, that people can follow you on.
Well, I mean, it's literally going to be the same as yours, isn't it? I would like to think, if someone goes and pinches that now, I'm going to be devastated.
So we hope it's Leanne_lift your life.
Yeah.
If it's not, just double check the show notes and that will be there where you can go and drop her a follow.
That'd be good if someone takes it.
We might have to put a few underscores and stuff in there to make it work, but it'll be something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll definitely do a catch up in a good few months once you've been able to change some lives, and I'll see everyone else on next week's episode.
Amazing.